Right. So guys, today we have Prerna. Thank you, Prerna, for joining us for the call here and helping us and guide all my viewers on their process. So today in this video, we're going to talk mostly about difference between PR and citizenship in Ireland. And second one, as a student, you can land a PR or residency here in Ireland. So Prerna, would you like to introduce yourself for my viewers?
First of all, Atia, thanks for having me here, and it's a great opportunity to clarify some of the doubts people have. So I'm beyond privileged and honored to give some information as I can. And just a basic introduction of myself. So I've been here in Ireland for 5 years now, and I started out as a student. So I did my master's here. Then after doing my master's, I got a job and then I started working, and I'm currently on Stanford. I'm working as a product lead for a company. So yeah, that's basically my credentials.
And guys, you should check her Instagram as well. She create a lot of informational reels for the students who are going for tech jobs, and she also create courses as well. You take classes for students, right?
I do make small reels and videos to guide people along the way, and also I am starting to take up courses related to Python or any technical course people are interested in, because of my landscape of working in 3 or 4 different domains. I have gotten to a point where I have worked with different technologies that if people are interested, it's all there in my Instagram, so they can check that out.
So guys, go check out her Instagram. The link is in the description below. Show some love. And if you have any tech related questions, you can ask her. So moving on, guys, this is all our experiences which we have been discussing. We are not immigrants or legal person to discuss about anything over here. This is our personal experience which we want to share and clarify with a lot of doubts people have regarding stamps here in Ireland. So Prerna, could you just clarify my viewers on the differences between PR and citizenship?
So the basic difference is that PR entitles you to live in Ireland without restrictions, and this is what is called as without way to condition. So, for example, like on Stamford, you are allowed to remain in Ireland, but there are certain restrictions, or the timing is involved where you are not allowed to stay outside of the state beyond 90 days. Which is not the case with PR. And citizenship is like you're entitled to remain in Ireland, do whatever you want. You can go outside, work in Europe. So you are like a legal Irish citizen at that point, and you can also vote for the country. So like all the entitlements that are given to a Irish citizen would be applicable on you. But on PR, that's not the case. So there are differences like that. You'll be allowed to remain in Ireland without restrictions, but then you won't be allowed to vote as an Irish citizen. You can be only allowed to work in Ireland, so you can't move around and in Europe and get a sort of job without visa. So that's the kind of difference that we have.
So in citizenship also, do we have this 90 days rule or not?
No. That 90-day rule only applies for stamp 4. That's basically when we talk about once you have gotten your stamp 1 and worked on a work permit for 2 years, you'll be granted a stamp 4, which is not exactly PR, but it allows you to remain in Ireland and work without any work permit, as long as you check box all the conditions that are applicable to you, that you're still working in a domain that requires you to be working as a as a required professional, and all the other conditions that might be valid. If that remains, that means that you are legally entitled to remain in Ireland, but you shouldn't be traveling outside of Ireland for more than 90 days. If you do so, then there'll be certain restrictions for you to come back and enter Ireland on a stamp 4. So that's probably one bit that people often don't get or understand about.
Okay. So guys, if you are confused about what is stamp 1, stamp 3, stamp 4, what we are discussing over there, further we'll talk about the differences and how you can achieve those. But I'm asking you these questions because I was also confused about all these stamp 4, and I assume stamp 4 is permanent residency. So to clarify more, we have PR, we have citizenship, then you are eligible for Irish passport, or citizenship is considered as Irish passport.
So the process is that once you have worked on stamp 1 on a work permit for 2 years, Then you have to work 3 more years on stamp 4, which is making a total of 5 years when you can actually apply for naturalization. Citizenship through naturalization is what they say, that it is counting as the time that you've spent in Ireland.
Mhm.
And people, they can opt for citizenship or they can opt for PR, because most times you have to forego your own citizenship.
Yeah.
As in case of Indian citizenship, you'll have to forego that and opt for Irish citizenship. If you're not willing to sacrifice that, then you can go for PR.
Okay, got it.
The time period remains the same for both.
For both PR and citizenship. Okay. And what's the ideal time you think is for PR and citizenship in Ireland if you are moving here as a student?
So it would basically, the stamp 1 and stamp 4 are counted as that you can apply for, are eligible for your PR or citizenship. Your student visa wouldn't be counted on your residence application. So you have to be mindful. So if you start your journey, for example, my own case,
Mhm.
I came here in 2017 and I've already completed my 5 years, but the 1 year that I was on stamp 2 would not be counted. So again, I have to wait another year to apply. So almost you can say 6 years is something that you'll have to bear in mind if you're coming here as a student. And also depends on how long you have stayed on your student visa.
So,
So if you're someone who has stayed also used up the time on the 1G,
mhm.
that is like complete 2 years, then it would be even further, like 7 years.
Okay, got it. Thank you for that clarification. So, guys, moving on, let's talk about various stamps we have discussed previously and what's the difference between those and what are the steps you would be moving on. So, starting from you as a student, what stamp or what visa you were on?
Stamp 2 is the first student visa that you're granted. That's a basic, like, graduate visa that you're allowed to stay in the country. After that, you can apply for extension for another year. That's a basic thing that has been granted by the Irish government, that once you complete your graduate studies, you're eligible for an extension, and then you get the student 1G visa that you can use to look up for employment, jobs, etc., or sponsorship in that period. So once you are on student visa 1G, you can then look for, or even on stamp 2, you can look for jobs. And once you get a job and the employer is willing to sponsor your visa, like either they can sponsor your visa or you can directly apply for your own sponsorship. There are two ways. Both is applicable. You need to have an offer letter, and there are certain mandates that you need to follow to be eligible for a critical skills work permit or a general work permit. So these are the two kinds of work permit that are available, that you can go for. Once you get the critical skills work permit is when you are granted a stamp 1. So
Right.
I'll talk about my experience and how I got through, and then I can maybe discuss more on what is the difference between the general work permit as well.
Yeah.
So the once you get the critical skills work permit, you fill the application. It's for €1,000, I guess. Yeah, that's basically you apply for a critical skills work permit. And with the sponsorship, what I mean is that sometimes the company are willing to maintain your critical skills work permit, and they also like pay for your critical skills work permit. And sometimes they would say that we've done a job, we've given you the offer letter, now you apply on your own for your critical works permit, and then you have to go through the same process of filling out the form, documentation, and then paying for your own critical skills work permit. So
Right.
once you're done and you get that critical skills work permit is when you can now go to Irish immigration to apply for your stamp 1. And it's like a lengthy process. You get your critical skills and then you apply for your stamp 1. But once you get there, and there's also a fee related to your stamp 1. When you apply, I think you have to pay €300 was when I had to apply.
Yeah.
Um, so once you get that, you're on stamp 1, you're eligible to remain in the state, work, as long as you hold the critical skills work permit. So you have to be on critical skills for 2 years, and it's given for 2 years. Straightforward, once you complete your 2 years on your critical skills work permit is when you are eligible for your stamp 4, which is basically it removes the condition of you obtaining a work permit to work in Ireland. This basically allows you to use your stamp 4, get a job, switch jobs, and as long as you are eligible to remain in the state and all the conditions as I mentioned previously apply, then you can take up any job and change jobs as and when you want to. But you need to remain in state for 90 days. You cannot stay outside of the state for 90 days. If you do so, then you'll have to give proper reason as to what was the reason. For example, in COVID, many of the people went back to India and just for vacations, and they were outside of the state for a longer period of time, but they were still allowed. So there has to be some proper reasoning as to why you are staying outside of Ireland for that period of time, like that number of days, if it exceeds 90 days. And once you're done with your stamp 4 is when you can apply for your, like you have to be like once you complete 2 years, now you have to be on stamp 4 for 3 years, because the condition to obtain PR or citizenship is that you have to be in the state for 5 years. So once you complete that period, so I think the stamp 4 is given for 2 years. That's what I was granted on my initial stamp 4. And then after that, you can also renew that. So basically, once you're done, you have actually completed your 4 years, 2 years on stamp 1, 2 years on stamp 4, and then you can renew 1 year again on stamp 4. So that makes a total of 5 years. Now, after completing that whole 5-year period is when you can either opt for PR or you can opt for citizenship. It's based on what your preference is. And for after the stamp 4 is like stamp 5, which is basically PR that entitles you to live and remain in Ireland and work as long as you wish, and there are no time restrictions whatsoever. And then after the stamp 5, if some people they offer citizenship, so they can offer stamp 6, which is the citizenship that gives you the Irish passport, voting rights, and you can work outside of Ireland. In Europe, there's like you'll be treated as a normal European citizen. Same conditions hold on.
Great. So I have a few questions on what you discussed over here. So stamp 5 will be PR and stamp 6 will be citizenship, right? In this case. Okay. And you said like on stamp 4 they need to stay on 3 years. Isn't it 2 years? Like you need to stay for stamp 4, but if they do not meet the minimum eligibility criteria of 5 years, in that case they need to be for 3 years on stamp 4, right?
Exactly. So if you don't hold that 5 years period, then definitely you'll need to apply for an extension. So after it's given for 2 years, the stamp 4, but then it can be easily renewed. So you can, for me now, right now, the scenario is that I'll be expiring on my stamp 4, so I have to extend that because I'm still not covering that 5-year period required for PR. So that would be the case.
Yeah, so that happens like as she mentioned, a lot of people have moved to India because of COVID. Like I was in India for 6 months, but I was on stamp 2, so luckily that won't be count. So I don't have to go for extended. But yes, to add on more on what she mentioned, after your stamp 2, you will get stamp 1G for 2 years, ideally, but you have to renew it like every year. Like within 1 year, you need to get another extension, then you need to apply for IRP. Also, so you will be ideally given 2 years to find a job here in Ireland. And I guess it's an ample time for somebody who is looking for a job on priority basis and they have the right skills. I think 2 years is more than enough. So after stamp 1G, as she mentioned, it's stamp 1 and then stamp 4. So yeah, thanks for the clarification. Even I had a lot of questions when I was applying for stamp 1, when would I be eligible for stamp 4 and stamp 5? So that totally makes sense. Ideally, you need to be here for 5 years. Guys, that's mostly covers from your student journey to PR or citizenship here in Ireland. If you still have any more questions, you can comment. Or Prerna, based on your experience so far, like you will be applying for stamp 5 further or citizenship or PR, you must have done a lot of research by now. I'm still on stamp 1. I haven't done any wide research. So what's your experience or any suggestions to the people you want to give on what you have been going through so far?
Yeah, so I think mainly I wanted to say that the PR, there's going to be a form that you need to fill, and there is a fee again that you need to pay for your PR. So that is 175 euro as per what I have checked uh, uh, like a few weeks prior when I was looking at that. And for naturalization, when you're becoming an Irish citizenship, it's again 175 when you apply, and then after successful application you have to pay 975 euro for the final submission of getting your Irish citizenship. So that is what is different between the two. And also, as what I've read is there's also an extra condition that people normally don't like counter when they're talking about Irish citizenship, is when they say that it's total 5 years, but then there are two conditions to it. So like firstly, there's like within the 9 year, like the point from your application,
Mhm.
then they'll count like extending from that 9 years. You should have been in the state for the last 5 years from that 9 year period. So
Okay.
that actually covers most of the time. But also, the year prior to your application, you should have been a reckonable resident in the state. So that means again, you should have been the year prior. You shouldn't be like going outside of Ireland and doing your own stuff. You should be there at the time of your application. And also, like, you're allowed to leave the state for 6 weeks. Beyond that, that year wouldn't be counted.
And also, I've seen a lot of people who have retained residency within the last few years, or what I have heard from them. Then you need to keep track of all the places you have been renting, or even if you show different proof from 1 or 2 months, I think your application could be rejected. Remember, there was this guy who has applied for permanent residency, and there was just difference of 2 months, and he was on stamp 1G, and he could not provide proof of residency for those 2 months, like where he was staying. Like, when you move from places to
Mhm.
you lost track of some days. So I
Yeah.
mean, this is just a suggestion for you all. If you are looking for permanent residency or citizenship, keep track of all your records of permanent residential agreements. If you have any electricity bills or any bank statement, keep like from the day you land here in Ireland, after like you land a job. I mean, student period is still not that recognizable than when you start your job here. Keep track of everything wherever you go. So guys, if you are in the country and you have just started your job, you are on the right track. Keep all your documents updated. But yes, if you are a student, then it's the good time you can know what to do in for the future. All right, Prerna. So, Prerna, do you know like a lot of people have this in mind? Like if they are moving here in Ireland from long-term basis, can they ask their parents to come with them, or is there any set of rules in Ireland government for that one?
This there has been a special condition for elderly dependents,
Mhm.
and I'm not too sure if it was existing before, but sort of like in the news I've recently started discovering about this because I wanted to know whether I could bring my parents here and
Mhm.
what's the situation. Though there are certain restrictions, so if you're bringing one elderly parent, there is like you have to have like 60,000 you should be earning in
Mhm.
order to support that elderly parent, and it's 75,000 euros if you bring two elderly parents with you. So it could be the combined earning of you and your spouse who are sponsoring their parents, or it could be if you're alone here and then you have to bring your parents. So there's something out there as well. I'll probably give you the link to the website that I was reading on. That might be helpful for people to read along and see what the restrictions are.
And also, you can ask your parents to come here for 3 months tourist visa. And you also need to show, like what I have heard, you need to show they are completely dependent on you. Like they do not have any property in India, or they do not have any dependencies in India. Like if you have elder brother, sister, or anybody, you need to show that as well. Like completely dependent on you, then so, guys, you can check out those mandate and rules which are eligible for bringing your parents here in Ireland. The link is in the description below. So, all right, guys, I think that's really it. It almost covers what we wanted to discuss about PR residency. And if you land here as a student, what all things you need to keep in mind if you're looking for long term residency or citizenship here in Ireland. So, Prerna, thank you. Thank you so much for your time and scheduling it based on my availability. And that's really great of you for scheduling this call and coming up to my viewers and sharing your experience with us and letting us know and guiding us with all this process. Thank you, Prerna. And guys, if you are watching this video and if you're watching this video until this end, go subscribe to her Instagram channel. I think we should reach more than 10K subscribers if you all are on Instagram, and show some love. And if you have any questions, you can comment below. You can reach out to her Instagram. And thanks, Prerna.
Thank you, Atya. That's really great, and that's super sweet as well. For you to be saying that, I've been your follower since like very long, and I know you're doing quite a lot of work to educate people, and that's kudos to you. And it's super nice to talk to you in person.